Welcome everyone to the part 3 of data visualization. Let's see the agenda of today's lecture. First of all, we will learn about what is a scatter plot, and we will do it by reading some theory and doing practical work. Let's move forward. So what is actually a scatter plot? A type of plot used to show the relationship between two numerical variables is called a scatter plot. Each observation in dataset is represented as a point in scatter plot. Numerous points on a Cartesian plane indicates the combined value of two vectors. A scatter plot frequently includes a line depicting the values that are expected based on a statistical model. With our ggplot tool, adding this line is simple and can make data easier to understand when trends that are not apparent by simply looking at the points. It requires two identical length vectors. The first one is for the horizontal x-axis. The next one is for the vertical y-axis. The scatter plot works best when it's used to show how two continuous variables relate to one another. One continuous variable and one categorical variable can also be compared using this method. So when to use a scatter plot? To demonstrate the existence of a relationship between bivariate data, or when you want to assess the nature, direction, and strength of such a relationship between two variables. So the question is that how to make a scatter plot. A scatter plot may be produced in one of the two methods. Let's have a look at them. First one is by using the plot method. The next one is by using the ggplot2 package in our language. The syntax for the first one is as below. First of all, just start the plot keyword and then pass the variables and some parameters, where var1 and var2 refers to the variables of y-axis and x-axis. Main represents the title of the plot. xlab and ylab represents the labels on x and y axis. So let's move to our studio, my working directory. So the very first thing I will do is to read my dataset msleep read.csv, and then I will say msleep.csv, and here head msleep. All right, so first of all, I will use the keyword of plot, and I will say take the msleep data frame and the variable sleep rem on x-axis, and msleep data frame take the variable of sleep total on y-axis, scatter plot, and on the xlab, I will provide the x label, which is going to be sleep remain, and on the ylab, I will provide the y label, which is going to be sleep total. Let's run it. So you can see the labels on x and y axis, and here are the points, which are the observations between sleep rem and sleep total. Now you can see here that as the sleep rem value increases towards 6, the value of sleep total is also increasing as the points are going upwards. So it shows a positive correlation between those two variables. So this is how you can create a scatter plot with the help of plot function. Now let's get back to slides. Now how to compare a scatter plot. Use the points function to compare the plot to another plot. Let's see what it actually means. So first of all, let's say there is a gambler who wins during the gambling, and what he won has some random values such as 50, 100, 30, 9, 40, and 65. and he lost some money during the gambling, such as 10, 20, 30, 9, 40, 9, and 59. So this is what happened on day 1. Now let's say on day 2, he gambles again, and this time he wins some values such as 40, 50, 60, 89, 69, 90. And he loses some money during the gambling as 37, 47, 89, and 32. All right. So first of all, I will say plot. And here I will pass the variables, which are win and lose on y-axis. And I will say main equals to gambling plot. And I will say x lab equals to win and y lab equals to lose. And here I say gold equals to red and 6 equals to 2. Just like that, I will say one more function, points, and I will pass win2 on x-axis and lose2 on y-axis, and I will say 6 equals to 2, and color equals to blue. All right, let's run it. So you can see your corresponding values for day 1 and day 2. The values with red are showing the day 1, that what a gambler has won and lose. And the points with blue color shows the day 2, that what a gambler has won and lose on this day. Now let's get back to slides. So the question is that how to create a matrix of scatter plot. A scatter plot matrix is used when there are 2 or more variables and we wish to correlate one variable with the others. The pairs function is used to build scatter plot matrix. The syntax is quite simple. Just use the pair functions where formula. The group of variables that are used in pairs is represented by this parameter. The data represents the data collection from which all the variables will be drawn is represented by this parameter. Now let's move to our studio. Now here I will plot the matrix between 3 variables. I will say first of all pairs, and here I will pass the data as sleep data frame, and I will say that make this scatter plot with respect to awake, and the second variable is sleep REM. The third variable is going to be sleep total, and main equals to scatter plot matrix. So you can see the output here. It's wake, sleep REM, and sleep total column. So that is how you can create a matrix or scatter plot. Now let's get back to slides. Now you can do one more thing, which is to make a 3D scatter plot. Let's see how. Here we will make 3D scatter plot using the scatter 3D plot package, which uses the scatter plot 3D function to plot scatter plots in 3 dimensions. Let's move to our studio to see how this works. Well, first of all, I will say install.packages, and here I will pass the name of the package, scatterplot 3D. All right, so the package has been downloaded. Now I can load the package by saying library scatterplot 3D, and after loading the package, I will say attach. I will attach the dataset, and after attaching, I will use the function of scatterplot 3D, and inside this function, I will pass the variables sleep REM, and sleep total, and awake. Let's run it. All right, so here's your 3D scatter plot. Now let's get back to slides. So how to make a scatter plot with the second way? The second method for making the scatter plot uses ggplot2. Scatter plots are produced using the point geometry. The syntax for it is quite simple. Just say ggplot function, pass the geom point function, the data frame, and some parameters. Now let's do some practical work. I will load the library of ggplot2. And first of all, I create a variable with the name of scplot that represents scatterplot. And inside that, I create a ggplot function and I pass the data frame, msleep, and aesthetic mapping. And inside that, I say x equals to sleep rem. And on y-axis, it would be sleep total. All right. So now it's time to say scplot plus geom point. So you can see a beautiful scatter plot with the help of ggplot package in our language. The points indicate a positive correlation between these two variables. Now let's say scplot plus geom point. I will use the aesthetic function, and here I will say color equals to war. So this time you can see that your plot has become more beautiful by providing a color variable. You can see here that most of the herbivores have the sleep REM in this section, and some of the insectivores have the highest sleep REM and sleep total. One can also change the shape of their points. I will say scplot plus geom point and aesthetic equals to shape and shape equals to word. You can see here that all of the shapes have been changed. Carnivores are represented by circles, herbivores are represented by triangles, and so on. Now, let's say I want to change the size of my clothes. I will say geom point, and this time in the aesthetic function, I will pass the parameter of size, and I say parameter equals to word. So the omnivore has the biggest circles and the carnivores are represented by the smallest circles. You can also pass a numerical value as the size. Let's see. Now, what if I just want to see the values between the sleep REM 0 to 4? So I will use another function. I will say scale x continuous, and I will pass the parameter of limits, and I will say that show me the values between 0 and 4. So here's the output. As you can see, one can also just flip their plot by the function of code flip. You can see here that sleep total is now on x-axis and sleep REM is now on y-axis. Now here I will say ggplot function, and I will pass the data frame msleep, and inside the mapping equals to aesthetic function, and here sleep REM and sleep total on y-axis, and I will pass the parameter of call equals to I will say war, and here I will say geom points, and I also add geom smooth. Let's see the output. So the values mostly consisted of carnivores, and that is why you can see a big gray line around the orange line. And you can see here that, and the sleep rem of carnivores has started increasing since the point 0, and it goes upward. Now, one can also create subplots of GM points. I will say facet graph, and here I will pass the variable of war. Let's see the output. So you can see your scatter plots according to the war. On x-axis, it's sleep rem, and on y-axis, it's sleep total. So that is how you can use a scatter plot. Now let's move back to slides. This is the end of today's lecture. Here is the link of the dataset, and in your homework, you have some tasks to do, such as use the scatter plot with both methods and write down the insights you have found after making a scatter plot. Now, good luck. See you next time.